Welcome to another episode of Rapid Fire Review, an airsoft gun review show brought to you by the people at pyramydair.com. I'm your host, Barry Goodband.
And I'm Nick Miller, and today we're going to be reviewing the TSD Sports Competition SR4. Alright, so when you open up the box, you're going to find the gun itself, a 300-round high-capacity magazine, an instruction manual, a front sight post adjustment tool, and this cleaning and on-jamming rod.
Also notice, guys, that the gun doesn't come with a battery, but that's not a problem. There's plenty of batteries available at pyramydair.com. Just when you get on and order this gun, just click on over and pick up yourself a battery as well.
Yeah, and today the battery we chose was a small type Intellect battery with a small connector. Make sure that when you order a battery for whatever you use, make sure that it's a small type so that it fits in the handguard and that it also has a compatible connector because this gun has a small type connector.
All right.
Alright, so if you've ever used any M4 or M16 style variant, the controls on this are exactly the same. If you've ever used them, you're going to be completely familiar with them. Alright, here on the left side of the gun, you've got your selector switch. You have safe, semi, and full auto. Okay, here on the right side of the gun, you have your magazine release. And you also have a functioning charging handle that when you pull it back, it'll pop open the dust cover, pull back this fake bolt cover, and then it'll expose the hop up so that you can adjust it to increase or decrease your hop up, which is pretty cool.
Yep. I'm going to take a closer look at the sights and the body on this gun. I'm going to start up here with the front post, which, as we mentioned before, is adjustable with this tool here. It just slides down over the post, and you can turn it left or right to adjust your elevation. In the back of the gun here, we have a dual aperture rear sight with a small peep and a larger peep for closer or further range shooting. I also want to point out that this carry handle is removable. It's got hand knobs here. Very easy to loosen this up, remove the handle if you want to mount a scope or some other kind of optics, bells and whistles, whatever your pleasure there. And as I said, it's real easy to take on and off with those thumb screws there. At the back of the gun here, we've got a 6-position LE stock. It's fully adjustable, and it's well integrated into the main body of the gun here that's all built out of a high-quality ABS plastic. Also, in the front and the rear, we've got some decent sling mounts here, so if you want to put a sling on it, that's also an option.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add is, the great thing about plastic bodies, is that they're very light. They're very lightweight, and they help you save weight. So if you're in the field maybe all day, or maybe you're a little, a newer player, and you want to help, not bulk yourself down, plastic body is the way to go.
Plastic body is also a great option if you want to save a few pennies as well. Maybe you're a new player, you're new to the game, you don't want to shell out a whole bunch of money for a metal body gun right away. Go ahead and pick up one of these plastic body guns, save yourself a few pennies in the long run, until you're familiar with the game and you know better what you're looking for in a primary gun.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Nick here, and he's going to show us how to put that battery in.
All right. Now, if you've ever used an M4 before, it's exactly like any other one to insert the battery. We've got our small type battery here, and all you have to do is pull down on this delta ring here. And what I like about this one is that it's nice and stiff, the spring behind it that holds the handguards in place, so you don't have to worry about them rattling loose or anything. They're in there nice and sturdy. All you have to do is pull down on it, and the whole bottom cover will come off, which you can set aside. Now, you'll notice that it has a fuse in here, which is really great because it'll protect your gearbox and your investment, ultimately, from getting ruined, say if you have a battery malfunction.
Absolutely.
It's kind of nice.
Yep.
And those are easily replaceable, less than $1 to get a new one. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Go ahead and just pick yourself up an extra fuse, so if you do have a problem, you have the option of changing that fuse as well.
Exactly. All right, now as I mentioned before, this gun has a small type Tamiya or Tamiya connector, whichever you might have heard it as. And here's your battery connector. Make sure they're lined up. It'll snap into place. You fold up your wires like this so that it stays out of the way. Reinsert your handguard. Oh. Like I said, it's nice and stiff, so you don't have to worry about it coming off. All right.
That is a good
There we
stiff
go.
spring on there.
Yeah. It was giving me trouble, but you know what? That's the nice thing. You don't have to worry about it coming off.
And it's not going to come apart on you in the field.
And now that I have it in there, as you can see, it's not coming apart, and we're all set and ready to head on over to the range.
All right, let's go.
All right, here you go, Barry.
Okay, so we've got our range and chronograph equipment set up here. We're going to put the SR4 through its paces.
All right, and today for our test, we're going to be using 0.20 gram BBs, and we've got an 8.4 volt, 1600 milliamp Indolect battery loaded up into this gun from pyramydair.com.
All right. Before we do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about these high-capacity magazines, and they're real easy to use. You just have a little trap door here at the top. You slide that open, and you can pour BBs right down into the reservoir. It's real simple. Just before you're going to use it, remember to give a little wind on this little dial here on the bottom. And what that's going to do is that's going to take the BBs from the hopper in the back of the magazine, slide them up through the feed tube here so that they'll load up into the gun.
Here you go, Barry.
Thank you.
Yep. Sounds semi, and let's see what kind of results we get. 380, 383, 383, 383, and 383.
Nice consistency there.
Seriously.
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm very impressed with that. I mean, like, you know, that just means that the compression in the gearbox is just right. Everything's timed up good, you know, and especially at the 380 range, you know, you can definitely use that out on a field. Very skirmishable gun.
Another thing that I'm noticing about this is that the trigger pull is very, very quick and clean. A lot of times with these AEGs, you pull the trigger and you got to wait like a half a second for everything to spool up for it to finally spit that BB out. But this one is right there, Johnny, on the spot.
Definitely pretty
Good stuff.
quick.
All right.
All right, why don't we set it to rounds per second?
Let's see what we get.
All right. All right, 13.9. Wow.
Yeah, almost 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff for an 8.4. Absolutely.
I know, seriously, that's really cranking it over. I like that, especially if you're getting, 380, feet per second, and then you get 13, pretty much 14 rounds per second. That's solid.
Absolutely.
Solid.
All right, I'm going to put her on safe here. Why don't you take her down range and see what kind of accuracy she's got.
Sounds good. Thank you, Barry. All right, that was pretty. Pretty accurate from here.
A little bit high and to the left on the bull, but I mean it's inside the center ring there.
You know, that was kind of
group.
That was definitely a little bit of me kind of jacking it up, but you know what? Once I found out where it was sitting, it's pretty solid. Yeah. All right, why don't we set this to full auto? See how it goes. Gonna give this a quick wind.
Yeah, it's always a good idea, guys, to remember to give that thing a little bit of a wind so you're not going to have any feed problems.
Yeah, because you don't want to be in the middle of a firefight and not have any BBs to split out.
This is true.
All right.
Hey, not bad shooting there, Tex.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Nice tight group there.
Yeah, I mean,
you only got like one of them off the orange?
Yeah, something like that. And you know what? I know we're inside, but that was still, there's no wind or anything, but that was still pretty solid shooting. That's in at least I'd say within a 4-inch grouping.
Oh yeah,
you know
absolutely.
I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
And even with the, when we got the 383 on this for the.
Oh yeah, the 383 is going to cut through a little bit of wind without a doubt.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. All right, sounds good.
All right, let's head back over to the desk and give our final thoughts.
All right, sounds good. All right, Barry, so now that we're back here from the range, why don't you give us your final thoughts on the TSD SR4?
Well, I touched on it very briefly while we were over at the range there. Really what the name of the game is on this piece is that snappy trigger response there. It seems like some of the AEGs I've dealt with in the past, you pull the trigger and it's like an eternity, almost a half a second, waiting for that gearbox to turn over and finally spit a BB out. Right. Not the case here. You pull that trigger down and almost immediately, a round is on its way down range. It responded very, very quickly. I mean, I would go so far as to say that you wouldn't even need to run this piece on fully automatic because it is that responsive. You can feather that trigger pretty quickly and get a good rate of fire just out of the single fire mode. And I think that probably has a good deal to do with those high-quality batteries that are available over there at pyramydair.com, supplying consistent, reliable power to this gearbox. And as I said, it's real snappy on the trigger. A lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah. And for me, I really enjoy playing on semi-auto. I think it adds a whole new challenge to the game. You end up playing more tactically instead of running around and just, spraying and praying,
Absolutely.
But for me, the thing I really loved about this gun is its weight. It was very lightweight. And, it's my first gun. I thought everything had to be metal on it. You know, I went out and bought all sorts of stuff, and it was metal bodied and this and that. And the first time I went out and played with it, it was heavy. It weighed me down a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, what they have that old military saying, you know, gears equal pounds, pounds equal pain. So, you know, if you've got a weapon out there for a long extended stay in the field, you want to cut down your weight. Also, the plastic is a good way to go to maybe save a few pennies in the long run. If you're a player that's new to the game, as I said before, and you're not exactly sure where you're going with your primary gun, go ahead and pick up one of these plastic bodies. It'll save you a little bit of time and money over the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good piece.
Yep,
All right.
exactly.
Well, I think that's all the time we've got, but keep your eyes open because we'll be back in the near future with another cool gun from pyramydair.com. And until then, I'm your host, Barry Goodband.
And I'm Nick Miller. And remember, if you've got any questions at all, feel free to email us at rapidfirereview@pyramydair.com.
And one more thing, fellas, always remember that airsoft guns are realistic copies of actual firearms. So always play safely, act responsibly, and we'll see you guys out there in the field.
Do not remove the federally required orange marking from your gun. Treat airsoft guns the same as firearms. Assume a gun is loaded, even if you know it's unloaded. Never shoot at someone who isn't wearing proper eye protection. Never brandish your gun in public, and always transport it in a case. Do not point an airsoft gun at anyone as a joke. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Do not use airsoft guns to shoot at, discipline, or injure animals. Know the laws regarding airsoft guns and their use.